Another video for you with new stories from Ethiopia and Eritrea. First news story is from Eritrea, where discussions have been held between Eritrean Justice Ministry and United Nations Development Programme UNDP. UNDP is working on several projects in Eritrea. A second news story is about EU-Ethiopia relations. Ethiopia is making efforts for resumption of EU financial assistance for Ethiopia, which was suspended last year. Today, EU External Affairs Department released a clip of Joseph Borrell, who is EU's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policies. What did Joseph Borrell say about normalization of ties between Ethiopia and the EU? Thirdly, viewers, AGOA at the start of this year, US removed Ethiopia from AGOA. AGOA is African Growth and Opportunity Act. Ethiopian companies had duty-free access to US markets under this agreement. But after the start of Tigray conflict over human rights abuses, US removed Ethiopia from AGOA. Thousands could lose jobs. Thousands are losing jobs in Ethiopian industrial parks. And now it is being said that Ethiopia could once again be part of AGOA. Improvement is being reported in talks between Ethiopian and US governments. On the other hand, Tigrayan lobbying firms are writing letters to US government asking US government not to resume AGOA benefits for Ethiopian government. Fourthly, viewers, we have a new story about Hermela Aregawi, an Ethiopian diaspora member, an activist based in the US. After Vellaga massacre, candlelight vigils were announced by Amhara diaspora, Ethiopian diaspora in the US. And Hermela also announced the organizing of these candlelight vigils. But we are seeing messages against Hermela and Amhara ethnic group diaspora members are being advised that they should not attend the vigils organized by Hermela Aregawi. Why is that suddenly we are seeing rifts between Hermela Aregawi and Amhara diaspora community? Fourthly, viewers, Tigray. Firstly, London, where a walk is being held, 6-kilometer long walk is being held to remember the sacrifices of the people of Tigray and to raise awareness about human rights abuses committed in Tigray. And lastly, very important news story, viewers, 3 opposition parties of Tigray have released a joint statement. The 3 parties say TPLF is hypocrite. TPLF is not inclusive and it is calling for inclusive dialogue in Ethiopia. Firstly, viewers, Eritrea, almost 10 days ago, discussions were held between Eritrean Ministry of Justice and UNDP, United Nations Development Programme. UNDP works for poverty reduction across the world. Discussions were held for around a week. Discussions were held in Asmara, Eritrean capital. Unlike popular perception that Eritrea does not receive any aid from the US, from the EU, from the UN, This UNDP is working on several projects in Eritrea. So these projects are funded by UNDP, by Britain, by Norway and some other countries too. What we have learned is that UNDP is working on at least 14 projects in Eritrea, and these 14 projects are being funded by 8 donors. So it's not that Eritrea is not receiving any aid by the UN or by Western countries. Yes, they are supporting Eritrea. The aid might not be as substantial as is being received by Ethiopia, Somalia, other countries. But it's not that Eritrea is not receiving anything. UNDP, its budget is several million US dollars, and for 30 years UNDP has been working on projects in Eritrea. Second news story is about Ethiopia-EU relations. Gradually relations are improving. Last year, after the start of Tigray conflict, EU withheld financial assistance to Ethiopia, and financial institutions under the control of EU stopped giving grants and loans to Ethiopian government. Since then, Ethiopian government has been trying to mend its ties with the EU. EU Council held a session 2 days ago where a big discussion was held on Ethiopia. It has been confirmed by Joseph Borrell that a big discussion was held on Ethiopia. The discussion was about normalization of ties with Ethiopia, about resumption of financial aid to Ethiopia, but no consensus could be reached. Instead, it was decided that EU should wait and Ethiopia should do more. It should resume basic services. It should restore basic services like banking, telecom, electricity in Tigray, delivery of fertilizers and fuel to Tigray should be ensured, and any moves towards normalization of ties with Ethiopia should be conditional. It means that EU has decided that it should wait more, and that is what was said by Janice Lenarčič, EU's commissioner, who visited Tigray, Addis Ababa, Somali region a few days ago. So EU pressure upon Ethiopia is continuing. On the other hand, US is very rapidly repairing its ties with Ethiopia. We have seen 3 grants by World Bank for Ethiopian government in recent weeks, but we have not seen any major grant, any major financial assistance announced by the EU so far. Take a listen to what Joseph Borrell, EU's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, said about normalization of ties with Ethiopian government.
Finally, the big discussion was in Ethiopia, where there is some progress, but not enough for the full normalization of our relationship. Has been progress, but we should be cautious, and any move should be conditional and transactional, depending on the improvement on humanitarian access, on restoring basic services in Tigray, lifting restrictions on fuel and fertilizers. This is the most pressing issue to save millions of people from death.
Thirdly, viewers, AGOA, African Growth and Opportunity Act. Ethiopia was removed from AGOA at the start of this year. Under AGOA, Ethiopian textile and other products had duty-free access to US markets. Ethiopia has established several industrial parks in Ethiopia where these products are manufactured, and the products were exported to US markets without any duty imposed. But after the start of Tigray conflict, Ethiopia was removed from AGOA over human rights abuses committed in Tigray, and since then we are seeing that the companies working at industrial parks in Ethiopia are firing workers. Thousands are losing their jobs. It is being said that more than 80,000 will be affected if there is no resumption of AGOA. Ethiopian government has been trying to engage US government for reinstatement of its position regarding AGOA, and now some progress has been made in the talks between US and Ethiopian government officials. It is being said that Tesfaye Yilma, who is State Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, held a meeting with Tracy Ann Jacobson, who is US Shocked Affairs in Ethiopia, and there she said that Ethiopia could be reinstated as a partner of AGOA once again by December 2022, and some companies working at the parks, industrial parks, they have also shared similar opinions that they have learned that Ethiopia will be once again part of AGOA. As I said earlier, that Ethiopia-US ties are improving very rapidly. 3 grants by World Bank for Ethiopia. Now talk of resumption, reinstatement of AGOA is also being reported. On the other hand, Tigrayan lobbying companies are writing letters to Joe Biden government. They are against this resumption of AGOA benefits for Ethiopian government. Let's see, will Ethiopia be reinstated for AGOA benefits? That remains to be seen. But Ethiopian government officials are very hopeful that progress has been made in talks with the US government. Fourthly, viewed splits are being seen between Hermela Aregawi, Ethiopian activist in the US, and Amhara diaspora community. Both were united last year when they launched No More movement against alleged Western and US interference in Ethiopian internal matters. Both accused EU, US of backing TPLF last year. Massive rallies were taken out, but now things have changed. Hermela and Amhara diaspora community are splitting after Valaga massacre. Amhara diaspora community announced to organize candlelight vigils across the US, Canada and Europe. Hermela also announced the organizing of candlelight vigils in different cities of the US. And now Amhara diaspora community is advising their fellow Americans of Amhara ethnic identity that they should not attend Hermela's candlelight vigils. That Hermela is pro-Abiy, she is pro-Ethiopian government, and Ethiopian government is part of the genocide, alleged genocide of Amharas being committed in Ethiopia, in Amhara region. That is why Amhara diaspora community should boycott candlelight vigils being organized by Hermela Aregawi. obvious splits are being seen. Ethiopian diaspora has split into several groups. One group consists of mainly ethnic Amharas. Tigrayans have another group. Hermela has her own group. Several Oromos, obviously we have seen during Jawar Bakle Garba programs in the US that they were attended mainly by Oromo diaspora. Oromo diaspora, Amhara diaspora, Tigrayan diaspora, and some diaspora communities supporting Hermela Aregawi. So many diaspora sections, groups being seen in the US, Canada and Europe. Fifth news story is from Tigray, about Tigray. It's from London, where a walk is being held, 6-kilometer long walk to remember the sacrifices of the people of Tigray, to raise awareness about human rights violations committed in Tigray. 6 kilometers mark 600 days of the suffering of the people of Tigray. That is what was said by walk organizers. Walk is underway. I'm recording this video. Tomorrow we'll share more of this new story. Right now we have a clip showing this walk which is ongoing now in London.
This very special walk is for all of your friends and family members in Tigray who have had 600 days of unimaginable hardship, who have suffered in ways that many people have said has been the worst human rights atrocities around the world. And so this 6 kilometers for 600 days is to honor them, to honor everything they've been through, and to say this has got to be the end. Only 600 days, no more than that.
Lastly, viewers, very important news story. 3 opposition parties of Tigray have released a joint statement. The statement was issued today, though it is dated 23rd of June, but it was released today. The 3 parties are Salsivjene, Betona, Tigray Independence Party. The 3 parties are not backed by Ethiopian government. They are from Tigray. They have been fighting for the people of Tigray when Ethiopian government forces, regional forces, Eritrean forces were in Tigray. These 3 parties, their members, their leaders, they fought for the people of Tigray. They were sent, they were put in prison as well. So these parties are from Tigray, small parties, yes, not as big as TPLF. What are the 3 parties saying? The 3 parties firstly say that TPLF is hypocrite. Tigray Population Front, leading party in power in Tigray, is hypocrite. Why? The party say that TPLF is calling for inclusive dialogue in Ethiopia. It says that all groups, political parties should sit for talks. But why is TPLF not inclusive in Tigray? In Tigray, TPLF is not consulting opposition parties. The 3 parties are not being kept on board regarding ongoing engagements between the government and Tigray government, international community, Tigray government and Ethiopian government. The 3 parties say that international community has done commendable work, and now it seems that direct talks are going to start between Tigray and Ethiopian governments. At this crucial time, the 3 parties have been requesting that they should be included in policy making, decision making process. They should be kept abreast of the ongoing developments, but TPLF is not listening. TPLF is taking a solo flight. The three parties say that TPLF is not sole representative of the people of Tigray. And if only TPLF is contacted by international community, it won't bring lasting peace in Tigray. That is why international community must ensure that there is a broad coalition formed in Tigray for talks with other parties, with Ethiopian government. So the three parties have made it clear that they are out of the process of talks, direct, indirect, between Tigray government and Ethiopian federal government. Now, why is that Tigray government of TPLF not taking these three parties on board? I think this is how opposition parties are treated in Ethiopia. That ruling party decides, ruling party is the main party in Ethiopia in regions at federal level. Opposition parties are kept under pressure, under crackdown. They are not allowed to work freely. That is what's happening in Addis Ababa, in Oromia, in Amhara. In Amhara, opposition parties are part of government. Nama is part of the government. In Tigray, opposition parties are not allowed to conduct their political activities freely. Their meetings were raided a few days ago by security officials, and now they are complaining that they are not part of the ongoing negotiations or start of negotiations or the process leading up to talks between Ethiopian government and Tigray government. Tigray should do better, I think.